This video is brought to you by the FARMER-KLEIN YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Farming Simulator 22 Map First Impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at the Holler. But before that, this video is brought to you by all of the farm barons and all of the farm kings. Thank you for supporting the channel. Approximately 15 days ago, I completely messed up the credits and as a result, completely lost track of whom I have and had not given video shoutouts to. So for the remainder of the month, we are giving shoutouts to all of the farm kings and all of the farm barons. Once again, thank you for showing your continued support by providing a couple dollars out of your bank accounts into the channel. Now, let's talk about the Holler. The Holler can be found over at solosam.itch.io. As a result, this map is going to be available for PC players only. I do hope that he does submit this to the Giants Mod Hub, although I have no idea if his plans are to submit this to the Giants Mod Hub, but I do hope he does because, quite frankly, I think console players would eat this map up. Now, let's read a little bit of the description. Farm the river bottoms in this Tennessee, Kentucky-inspired map tailored towards player creation. Large equipment does not lend itself well to this map. There are no farms built into this map. This map has a custom soil map, hand-built DEM, custom corn textures, and a big thanks to Legacy AG for the waterplanes. Now, I kind of consider this a hybrid map. The map has predefined fields, but no farms. So it's kind of build your own map, but it's a build your own farm map with respect to having all of the fields pre-built, sell points pre-placed, really in lots of areas for you to buy and then just build away. So let's go ahead and load on in. We are going to use all the mods that we typically use when we take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease, field calculator, and precision farming. Now, if we watch the map load on in, there are a pair of warnings that pop up. Those warnings are related to some syntax with respect to the Lime Station, specifically a case syntax. And I think it's because the Lime Station folder is mostly like to have an uppercase S in the station, very similar to how limestation.xml is listed. Hopefully the map author sees this video and maybe makes that correction. That'll get rid of those two warnings. Now we load in right here, kind of overlooking this field and then ultimately overlooking the river. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map. This is a standard size map as best as I can tell. We do have all the standard crop types available to us here in Farm Sim 22. And if we look at the lands area, you'll see that we start out by owning nothing. We own no land in all play modes. And as a result, it may be advantageous to start this map up in farm manager mode so you have that full $1.5 million to work with, as opposed to having the $100,000 in new farmer mode. Now, there are lots of possible building areas. We start out right here. This is where we start out. We've crossed this field and now we are at the river. Now there is a little pull off here. So you could buy this little area here and have it for a starting farm. $94,000 to buy. We have this area right here, which includes area or field 35, which is $234,000. We have another plot just further down the road for $90,000. We have a large area over here, which includes a pond and an old barn. That is $1 million, nearly $1,100,000. We have an area across the street here, which is $110,000. Heck, you could buy field 22 and build a farm in this little cutout. We have a nice plot up here for $656,000. Another plot of land in the extreme northwest corner of the map for $367,000. Like I said, there is a boatload of possibilities as far as areas where you could possibly build your farm on this map. We've got another spot here. If you buy this quadrant of fields for $313,000, there's also a little bit of a kind of a building pad you can put down right there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. The farmland lease screen is going to show us all of the available farmlands, how big those given farmlands are, if those farmlands include any fields, what fields they include, and then lastly, how much those viable farmlands are going to cost. So I'm just going to go ahead and slowly scroll through this list so you kind of get a general idea of what types of farmlands we have with respect to size and field allocation. And then let's go ahead and take a look at our field calculator screen. And this is going to break down the individual field sizes themselves. This is not going to relate specifically to the viable farm lands, but this is going to be specific to the fields themselves. Then we can always cross-reference the field number to the farmland in the previous segment. Let's go and take a look at our custom soil map. As you can see, lots of fields are striped with various soil types. We have silty clay, loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand across many of these fields. We have field 25 with all 4 soil types, field 23 as well, field 27 as well with 4 different soil types. Kind of a very interesting soil map. Typically, you would see something that was flowing the river, maybe having some more silty clay closer to the river. Then as you get further and further away from the river, you get more ideal and sandy soil. But this is kind of a very interesting take on a soil map. Let's go ahead and take a look at our crop calendar. So we do have the standard base game crop calendar available to us here on the Holler. And if we take a look at our prices screen, you're going to see that we do have the ability to sell most, but not all of the crops that we can grow on the map. Most of these sell points most of these crops also are available for sale at multiple sell points, which is nice to see. We do have sell points for eggs, wool, and milk. We also have sell points for most of our production, but not, once again, all of our production. In fact, we do not have sell points for bread, for fabric, clothes. We are also missing sell points for cereal, raisins, chocolate, planks, and furniture. So I've counted it up. There are 9 things that we are missing, and I've decided going forward, we're going to set a benchmark of 10 things or less. We're going to knock a quarter of a point off. 11 things or more, we're going to knock a half a point off until we get up to, I think, 20 things missing. And then at that point, we are going to knock off a quarter of a point, because I counted this up. There are 34 or so approximate crop, animal outputs, and base game production items that we can sell. So based on having just 9 not available, we're going to knock off a quarter of a point. We do have bulk lime available to be purchased, and the map does include a stone crusher. If we take a look at our starting equipment, well, we don't have any, because this is basically a build your own farm style of map. We do not have any animals, and we do have contracts available, and we also do not own any production chains at the start. At this point in time, we would typically take a look at our starting equipment, but you know what? There isn't any. And then we would jump on to our farm tour, but you know what? There isn't any. So instead, we're just going to go ahead and move on to the fly around. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of altitude and pull up the PDA in a big format. I have to say, I really, really do like the look of this map. Got a really nice looking diverse forest over here to the east. We continue to scroll around. We have a nice field that follows the contour of the river and the tree line. There you can see that little pullout that I talked about, where you could possibly build a small little farm area. And we have a larger area over there with 2 entrances. You can build out a little bit larger of a farm area. We've got a really nice, once again, diverse forest across the middle of the map. let's go ahead and just do a little bit of a flying tour. Right here at the treetops. I wouldn't really say that there's enough fields here to do something multiplayer with respect to having a whole bunch of different players on the map, but man, this map really does open itself up to all types of diverse gameplay. So we have this little pullout that I like to call. You could just kind of think of this as like a little park and ride, a little country park and ride. You can pull out here, park your cars, maybe have a little bit of a picnic, walk down to the river. Well, it's a little bit far away from the river, but at any rate, just kind of pull out here. But you could put some sheds in here and have a little starting farm, starting out with kind of low amounts of money. Then a little bit better of an option would be this plot over here right on the other side of the bridge, where we have, once again, an entrance and an exit, and a bit larger of an area, a little bit of a front yard here. Area for some sheds, some animal areas, farmhouse. But if that doesn't suit you, then maybe you want some property right along the river's edge. We've got a lane here going into just kind of a grass plot. And again, you could do something with here. And we go up and over the forest across the middle of the map, and we come over to this huge section here. I like the fact that we've got an old barn here. We also have a kind of a dock, a little bit of a boat. Then we have kind of a clearance way back here into the back. Now, this would be a rather large area where you could really build out, have a massive spread out farm. You could also make your own fields here, because we go all the way from the tree line up to this tree line here, including this house. Now, I've tried to sell the houses. I tried to sell the barn, and I was not successful in doing so. I did see on his itch.io page, someone asked about getting rid of these fences. And I think you can basically go into build mode, and once you own the land, use the destroy feature to then get rid of these. This would be quite an interesting area to build out a farm. Then we have this notch cut out of field 22. If you bought field 22, you're either going to plow this notch in and make it a full field, or you're going to build something here. Here we have the 4 fields and then a little bit of a plot. Again, you might carve that up and put in a 5th field. You might merge all of these together, or you might put a little bit of a small country farm in there. This area really intrigues me because you could buy it. You've got a farmhouse, or at least you have a farm. Sorry, you have a house here that you can make into a farmhouse with a sleep trigger. You have an old country barn here. It is deco as far as I know, but still, it's a nice decorative element. No, you can't get rid of it. And then you have this shed here, so you could buy this and really make it into your own kind of country farm and then expand out. We have this area to the north. Like I said, in the extreme northwest corner, that you could build out something. A small area here beside field 4. Now we're coming over here. This is going to be one of our grain sell points. Then we're going to go across the river. Now we have our large animal dealership right here, as well as an animal dealer sell point. We have additional sell points here. We have a lime buy point. We have another grain sell point, and we have our stone crusher here around back. We have our dairy and our spinnery located right here. These are the only two productions that are built into the map, but there are plenty of other possible areas that we have already outlined as possible building areas that you could put additional production down on. So I am going to give the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for the placement of such. Speaking of which, we've got one such area right here. We have our fuel point, and we have a sell point here behind the diner. We have another grain sell point located right here. And then we have our vehicle dealer right here. Let's go ahead and get our Mahindra. We'll drive around to sell points, and that's going to pretty much be it for this map video. A lot of the stuff is pretty much centralized to the northeast corner of the map, so it won't really take too terrible long to tour that. So your starting equipment is going to be on the other side of this building. There we go. So we've got a decent area for starting equipment to spawn in at, but as the map author said, this map is not really intended for large machinery, because you're going to have to get it out of the shop area and get it down the street, and that itself may be a little bit of a problem. Now, with respect to the other scoring metrics, we're going to give a map 3/4 of a point with respect to the ability to sell base game crops, animal outputs, and production points. I'm looking around here for a workshop trigger. Do not see one. We are going to give the map a full point with respect to can the farms be customized, because we have plenty of areas where we have absolutely nothing. There are a few possible building areas where we do have buildings in place, but there is plenty of area around there to put your own farm. I'm not going to take off for the static houses or barns or shed in those areas, because really those, if anything, add to the overall aesthetic of building your farm there. I mean, why else would you not put your farm there if it wasn't for those areas? Something is clearly drawing you to that, and that is what likely is going to cause you to want to put your farm there in the first place. Buildings where appropriate are using the new texture technique, because these are all Farm Sim 22 buildings at heart. And as you're going to see, there are a few little niggles with respect to trigger areas. So right here we have a perfect trigger area, right? We've got our unload icon right here. It would be maybe a little bit better if we had our hash marks, but pretty much there we go. We know that is indeed a sell point. That is where we're supposed to be dumping product. I think if the map author made a variant of this map with some pre-built farms, oh, I think it might be a top 5 category for American maps, in my humble opinion. Now, I don't really have any issue with building out a farm, so to speak, but you know what? For me, having a farm already built is just like icing on the cake, because I can pick maybe from 4 or 5 different farms on this map, one that I would really like to build out. Here we have our spinnery and our dairy. Base game spinnery and dairy, so we really don't need to go into too much detail as to where the trigger areas are for these. Again, we have the dairy then here. We have our animal dealership with a sell point over there for the animal dealer sell point, and our livestock buy point here. Now, if we take a look, and this may be an error, it may not be an error. Maybe the map author will see this video and put a comment below. But if we take a look here, it says that there are 100 collectibles on the map. But when I did the collectibles show command, it didn't show me any collectibles. So I'm not really sure if we do or do not have collectibles on the map. Like sell points where we have an input and an output scale, that way we can realistically weigh what we are bringing in and then weigh our empty trailer to know how much product we have delivered. We have our lime station here. And then we have our sell point here, but this sell point is not showing anything with respect to the floating blue icon. So would like to see that floating blue icon. I don't know if it's maybe hidden below or maybe it's too high, but I would like to see that added. We have our stone crusher located right here. Then we have another sell point located here. This time we have a little floaty blue icon. It's kind of down in the grate. I'd like to see that brought up a little bit. Again, we're getting a little niggly, little nitpicky, if you will, here. But ultimately, that is what has cost this map a quarter of a point with respect to interactive areas and triggers being clearly marked. Now we're going to need to run up the road here, cross the bridge, and then we're going to get to our final sell point, and then we're going to kind of summarize and collect our thoughts. Still a little in-cab driving as we make our way over there. Oh, missed our turn. Now, the description said we had custom corn textures, so let's go over here. Check out these custom corn textures. Boy, this map must really look good in autumn. Now, these are not the type of trees that you really want to be doing a whole lot of heavy forestry on. Things do look mighty nice. Take a look down the river. Trees reflecting off of that. Down at the other starting point where we had the river, we had the kind of some dead trees down in the water. The reflections there. Then we have our final grain sell point located right here. And this particular sell point is missing the blue icon entirely again. So that is why we took off 1/4 of a point, because we had the missing icons there. But overall, this map is going to score very well. I'm going to give the map a 4.5 out of 5. Again, we only really lost points because we had 9 things that we could not sell, that either we could grow. The map does have olives. We do have olives listed here on the PDA. So in theory, we could grow olives. And then there are 8 production items that for whatever reason are not accepted at any particular sell point. Of course, we could, if we wanted to, put down a sell anything or sell everything sell point, but I would like to see the map maybe updated to add the ability to sell all of those products. We've got a big grocery store up here. I kind of felt that that was maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity not to have a sell point at the big grocery store just beside the diner. But that would bump up 1/4 of a point. And then if we had our little blue icons added, well, that would bump up another 1/4 of a point. And then you got yourself a 5.0 map right here in the Holler. So guys, let me know what you all think of the Holler down in the comments below. And until next time, happy farming.